Okay, so what we have is a 6-petal start of a Western bright cut leaf. And what I'll do is I'll cut the main veins in it, and then I'll come back and show you how I do the cap cuts, and then from there I'll shade it and explain the reason behind the shading. Okay, so what I've done, I've cut the main veins, put the, well, some would call the S cuts, or basically what this cut here represents is a fold over of the leaf. One thing to remember when doing this, when you cut your center piece, the bevel of the cut is to the outside, so you're actually laying your graver with the point in and making the cut around. When you make the leaf cuts, do not start inside of that. You want to leave your space just a little outside of that main cut for the center, so that you have a gap in between that area there. Okay, so to start out shading, you always start out with your center line, which the way I do it is always the heaviest line. You still want to start out very light at the beginning, head straight for the center, and as the closer you get to the center, the heavier and deeper your line will get. Once you've got your center line cut, you want to go with a very small thin line to the outside of that, all the way to the bottom. You do not want to intersect until you reach the very bottom of that line. From there, you want the rest of your lines to converge not side by side, but actually overlapping each other at the bottom. One thing that will add a little bit of life to the leaf is, instead of keeping all these the same height, is you can do one short, one long, is what you want to do is stagger the cuts. One thing that you do want to try to do is leave a space at the edge of each leaf that is unshaded. Same thing here. Want to run all the way down and leave a blank space, something that is unshaded. Then your lines will run together and converge at the bottom of the leaf. Again, stagger the height of your cuts. You do one short, one long, and leave a space. A little bit more explanation as to what I've done to this flower anyways. One thing to help your flowers is to give a little bit of variety as far as where the folds are. On this leaf here, the fold comes from the left hand side, as to where on this leaf here the fold or the S cut comes from the right hand side. A little more further explanation, which you'll see later when I get it shaded, is this leaf and this leaf here will actually lays underneath this one and this one, and then this leaf here lays underneath this one and this one. So to shade it, everything still comes down to the center, but you want to be able to help the viewer understand that this leaf and this leaf are actually underneath its neighboring leaves. Okay, so here's the leaf after I've finished shading it. A couple things that I left out at the beginning of the video which will help a lot of people, I hope. For one thing, like on these cuts here, which are your S cuts, they are capped, which you can see this line here. That helps to just give the visual impression that the leaf is actually folding over. One thing again that I'd like to go back over is when you're shading, especially these two leaves here, which this one isn't cross-hatched, but when you're shading these, you want to leave a blank area, an unshaded area on both sides, like what this is here. Moving over to this leaf here, a partial side of this leaf actually runs underneath this one. So here you're going to leave an unshaded part, and these here all come back down to the same starting point if you watch. I did a little bit of cross hatching here to create the illusion of shade or a shadow, and I cross hatched back up through the center. Again, with the cross hatching, I usually start fairly deep in these areas here where it's black, and then as I move up towards the top of the leaf, the lines actually get spread further apart and thinner or lighter. Moving on to this leaf here, it goes underneath this leaf and this leaf here. So again, we start out coming straight down the leaf with your main shade line. Here we're actually going to cross hatch to create the illusion of shade here and shade here, where this leaf runs underneath this leaf and this leaf. And again, I start with a fairly heavy crosshatch line, and as I move up, you can see that they get lighter and lighter. And then for the center, I just used a beading tool and go around the outside edge and then start filling in from the center there. And that's it.